King Kohli is making news once again, and this time for all the wrong reasons. And yes, he is experiencing a prolonged slump in form.
Can he come out of it? Keep watching to find out.
Welcome to CricWorld Straight Up by Vijay and Prabhu.
Let's take a quick look at Virat Kohli's numbers.
Yeah.
Amazing numbers as they are in all forms of cricket. Let's take the test matches for a start. More than 8,000 runs in 100 games with 27 hundreds.
That's right. Even the white ball cricket, which is actually his forte, he's scored almost over 12,000 runs, played 260 odd matches. Most importantly, he scored 43 hundreds. Now T20, there also he scored almost 3,000 runs. So if you look at the career average,
55 plus in more than 460 games, 23,000 runs. Just a phenomenal performance by any account.
absolutely. So when you want to look at these numbers, you wonder, is there really a slump?
Trivia time once again, Vijay. I've got a question for you which has two parts to it.
Sure.
What is Sunil Gavaskar's highest score in Test cricket?
Oh, that's easy. 236 not out.
Well, that's perfect. I knew you knew this one. Okay, now the difficult part. At what position he scored these runs?
What position? Wasn't he an opener in that?
No, he wasn't.
Oh, then I don't know.
He batting at number 4.
Oh, is he?
Yes.
Wow.
You asked me where was the slump?
Yes.
Let's take a look at this.
Sure.
The man has gone 1,000 days or nearly without a single century in any form of international cricket,
Okay.
which to my mind is definitely a slump.
Now look at his score. He scored 24 50s. An average player does not even actually get closer to 24 50s. Isn't that good enough?
True, he has been consistent in scoring 50s, but it's his we recognize him by his hundreds. 463 innings, 70 hundreds, that tells you a story. And this tells you another story, doesn't it?
But majority of his hundreds have come in one-day internationals. He hasn't played that many one-day internationals, has he?
Not really, because in the last couple of years, there's been a focus on T20. So test matches as well as one-days have become a little bit of a rarity.
Yeah.
And along with COVID.
Sure. So in T20s, you seldom get enough time to score hundreds. In some of his innings, he's actually not able to finish his innings, and he had to actually ended up on highest scores of 90s and 80s and so on and so forth. In fact, he hasn't scored 100 in T20. Isn't that good enough?
Batting at number 3 doesn't help either.
Well, there you go. So you're still not able to convince me that just because he's not scored 100, that means he's in a slump.
So we're coming from King Kohli, definitely there is a question because there is a gap of 25 between his slump figures and post slump.
But then we had a look at his earlier numbers. His career average is over 50, isn't it? Isn't that good enough? My point is that all this, hoo-ha about Kohli not scoring hundreds. Yes, I understand that. But would you consider that as a slump?
Yeah, but if you take away the 24 50s against the 67 innings or 70 innings, there's 46 failures as well. So that's 2 failures in 3 innings. If he had been able to convert a few innings into hundreds, probably we could have had much better numbers. But because he's not been able to do that, these numbers are not good enough for any player.
Okay, so if you only can equate slump with lack of hundreds, then I'm sure some other top players must have gone through that.
Yes, as you know, 2 of the best Indian players ever have gone through that. Rahul Dravid, the Indian coach, went through it for 2 years, and the god of cricket, Indian cricket, Sachin Tendulkar, has also gone through it for a couple of years.
All right.
Now look at the numbers from Sachin Tendulkar, the years in which he struggled.
Sure.
2 years he struggled, and he scored about 1,700 runs with 400s from 47 games.
Okay, but I'm still not convinced because 24 50s, and if you consider Tendulkar only scored 12 scores over 50, whereas Kohli has scored 24 50s, almost the double of that.
Correct, but Sachin only played 47 games and Kohli has played 67 games. So the difference lies there. So he will have more 50s probably. But the point is that even then, Sachin has got a better record than Kohli as far as the average is concerned. So these numbers have to change.
Okay, I'm still not fully convinced that Kohli is going through, yes, he's going through a bad run of form, but not a slump.
Okay, so let's take a look at another example. This time we'll go to Mr. Rahul Dravid, the Indian team coach.
Sure.
We'll focus on Test cricket because that's what Rahul's forte was.
Sure.
In 25 games, he hit 1400 runs and he's averaged 35 and got 300s as well.
Okay. And Kohli has not actually managed in 18 tests, he's just about managed. Okay, I'm actually now understanding what you talk about when you talk about slump. And it becomes accentuated. I'm warming up to this concept mainly because he has been such a prolific run scorer. And I can see if it is 71 test or any international innings, he's not managed to score 100. And that becomes kind of ironic because in the 71 previous international innings of his, he had scored 1900s. There are only two players who actually done better than him. One is Don Bradman. He had actually scored 2800s. This is during split by the Second World War. And he had done that in 71 test innings. 2800s. The other great is obviously the Master Blaster, Sachin Tendulkar. He also scored 1900s like Kohli did. But this is in a different era. I am now warming up to this concept that Kohli is definitely going through some slump. Now, what does he do? And what is he doing wrong currently?
Yes, interesting question. And that's what we're going to look at.
Here are some of the dismissals that Kohli has been falling prey to.
Looks as if he's getting out mainly outside the off stump to the fast bowlers.
Yes, and I think he's going back to the 2014. I remember he was getting out similarly on that entire tour of England. I understand that he's not only getting out to the bowlers that we've shown in these clips, but he's getting out to even ordinary bowlers.
Yes, you're right. He's managed to find different ways of getting out to different bowlers, and that's probably one of the reasons why we call it a slump.
Okay, so I understand now he's taking a break and he's not gone on the West Indies tour. How long is he going to be off?
So we understand that this tour he requested rest, and there's also the rumor that he's going to come back for the Zimbabwe tour just before the Asia Cup.
Okay.
Because the selectors feel that they need to have him in some kind of form before the Asia Cup, and Zimbabwe is a good platform to start his comeback.
Okay, so if he's going to come back and play against Zimbabwe, considering that is going to actually set him right for the remainder of the cricket season, is it only for the T20s or is it going to be for every other international game?
The focus is obviously the World Cup, Vijay, and that's what the whole country is looking for.
Sure. So what does he do to get out of this rut?
So this break he can use constructively to, re-strategize, look at where his weaknesses were, what his strengths were, see how he can improve. Look, So that's basically, I would say, is the next 20 days his job. He may take a break initially, but he has to go back to the drawing board to start working out what the problems are.
But what are his problems?
Okay, so there is actually a lot of problems. Like you said, that he's getting out to all kinds of bowlers. Doesn't matter if they're the top bowlers or not so good bowlers. So I think the problem started a few years ago when the whole team actually decided to bat outside the crease, go on the front foot, committing themselves, trying to counter the swing in England. That's 2018. So that was okay for that tour. Because
I was just going to point that out. He did famously well there.
Yes, but what happened was, irrespective of the the kind of wickets they were playing, the opposition, they continued doing that. So once you are committed on the front foot, very hard to play any shots apart from two. One is the drive through the covers, or one is the flick over or past mid wicket, and even then it's hard to lift the ball because you're already, your body is coming forward before the ball is bowled.
Sure. So if he were to go back to the drawing board, what is he going to change? Is he going to change his stance? Is he going to change his balance? Is he going to, don't say everything, but what is he going to change?
Okay, so I think what's going to happen is, first of all, he's realized that when he was at his peak, he was still when the ball was being bowled and he didn't commit himself. So if he stays where he is when the ball is being bowled, then he decides whether he goes forward or back. Once he goes back, then he can pull out the horizontal shots, which are the cut shot and the pull shot, which will be very useful in the World Cup in Australia.
Sure.
As you know, the bounce is much higher.
It will be.
Yeah. So the other thing, I think what's happening is that he's not able to leave the ball outside the off stump. He needs to be a little bit more patient. And if he leaves 20 balls outside the off stump and doesn't worry about where the next run is coming from, the bowlers will start to correct their line to come onto the stumps. Once the ball is on the stumps, he knows what to do with that.
Sure. So people like Steve Smith, Joe Root for that matter, Kane Williamson, all these, Babar Azam for that matter, all these top players are now playing with real soft hands. I don't see that happening with Kohli. He seems to be pushing at the ball.
Yes.
Isn't he?
Yes.
What does he do to bring his mental fortitude?
Okay, so this break, hopefully of a month or so, will reset his mental fortitude, give him some freshness. If he hasn't played too much cricket, the fear of failure will go away, and when he comes onto the crease, he will probably be a little bit more fresher, more focused, and things can probably change. The other thing I would like to point out is that he is not made only for a 50. He can go to 100 or 200, which he used to. So he can only do it if he's at the wicket. He doesn't get runs in the pavilion.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
And let's hope that he actually uses his break and whatever practice that he's going to do wherever, goes back to his drawing board and actually comes out fresh.
Yep.
And we wish him all the very best, because it's just disheartening to see a player like his caliber struggling.
He has to now find out what release shot he's got. He used to jump down the wicket to hit over the covers. He's not doing that anymore. There is a possibility of the lofted shot over mid wicket. He used to not do that anymore. He has to decide that there has to be one extra shot which he has to play with a little bit of risk, yes, but then he has to come out of this. And against the spinners, I think he has to bring out the sweep.
I don't remember him sweeping that prodigiously.
Yes.
But yeah, as I said, we wish him all the very best. Yes. We don't want Virat Kohli to struggle the way he's struggling at the moment, and hopefully he will watch our video, and hopefully he will take on board all the great advice which Prabhu had for him.
And then just one more question. Where do you see Virat from here? And what do you see his future to be? Do you have any ideas or suggestions?
Yes, so please do write them in the comments section and continue to support us. Remember to like, share and subscribe and spread the word around.
Thanks for watching. Remember to like, share and subscribe. Also, don't forget to hit the notification bell so you won't miss another video.